After a couple exciting sets of EU SCC action, we've officially made the jump right back over towards North America. First up, got the North American semifinals and the finals to follow. This is a quick region. They've had all 2-0s all this weekend, and a very fast pace of play that leaves a lot to be excited for. My name's Dulcin. Taco, she hasn't gone anywhere. She's still with me here for this one. Taco, do you tend to agree with that, though? North America EU, or North America SCC Smite, they love their fast-paced games. They love to brawl.
Once the team gets a clear lead, Dulcin, they do not seem to be keen on letting up, and it does seem as though a snowball factor seems to be a recurring theme for the North American gameplay.
Well, look at the bracket here for the North American SCC. All 2-0s so far this weekend, including the earlier rendition of this matchup, the first match we had in North America this weekend, Winter Dogs versus Sturdy Artisans. The Winter Dogs were able to take 2-0. So I think an important point to look at there, and maybe provides a little bit of foresight into this one.
Well, for Sturdy Artisans, a little bit unfortunate that they had to fall to Winter Dogs, given that that was for the reconnection issue. Stuart, unfortunately,
that's right.
did not have internet that day, so he
You're
couldn't
right.
participate in the set itself. So I'm sure Sturdy Artisans are looking, though, for the vengeful bounce back, because they never actually got a chance to show the Winter Dogs what they're capable of, and now that they're getting to meet them head-to-head for a spot in the finals, Dulcin, I'm sure they'll be keen on trying to take it.
That's a good memory. I forgot that happened earlier on this weekend, and that's an important fact because in the first phase of the North American SCC, the Sturdy Artisans took both of these matchups over the Winter Dogs. Let's talk about this Winter Dogs roster a little bit, though. A team that took a little bit of time to get going in the North American SCC. In their first 6 games, they were 1-5. And were able to turn it around enough towards the end to get things going. Aquarius, Annister, Benny Q, Wowie, and Gamma. Absolutely some name recognition on this team, Taco.
Definitely a lot of name star power on this team, Dulcin, but there is new talent for sure thriving in North America's amateur league, and honestly, I would say that the SEC not too far off with the way that some of these teams have been working together, from finding themselves being able to keep up with the best of the best. And Winter Dogs are certainly a team where, for all of their competitive experience, you would think that they'd be the clear favorites of this one. But again, Dulcin, it's the time-old tale of experience versus newfound ambition.
Yeah, North America, it's just felt like chaos in some of these games, and I mean that in the best way possible. It's just so much fun to watch. I admire the creativity of this team as well. I've already riffed on Jean Kui a little bit today. You got to throw in a little bit of a Jean Kui highlight there for the Winter Dogs. Maybe we'll get to see some of that creativity for Benny Q out of the mid lane. The opponents of the Winter Dogs, though, the Sturdy Artisans, this is a team that had success all of Phase 1 in the North American SCC. They only dropped the last game that they played up against the Tiburones 2-1 and won every single other game. Every single other set they played. They had a couple 2-1s thrown in there, but won every single set they played except for the last one in the North American SCC. And then when you look at the roster, Taco, it's no surprise. Relentless won Sino, Pagon, Stuart, and Yannick. This is a team that meshed early on. They meshed very quickly. And they've been a driving force.
It's a team that certainly found their stride, and I think a good portion of that can be credited to the fact that this is a team that just works really well together. Dulcin, a lot of competitive play shapes up to be about the team synergy at its core, and when you have a team that's firing off on all cylinders as effectively as what we've seen from the Sturdy Artisans, well, it's almost like they're just one person with just a couple of attached limbs for each individual member.
Right, it feels like one unit kind of all rolling together throughout their gameplay. And it's not, look, it is not easy to only drop one set in the North American SEC with some of the talent that we've seen rolling through. And then, as you've mentioned, outside of the unfortunate internet connectivity issues earlier on in the weekend, they just wanted to make things interesting for themselves. They just wanted to create some intrigue around it. Let's make the run through the losers bracket. And they've done just that. Stuart has been a lot of fun to watch out of this duo lane. I think a big driving force that we have to talk about is Sino out of the jungle. We saw the change that he made to that Obey squad in Season 7 of the SPL. It has been awesome for the Sturdy Artisans team. I imagine some shot calling, some variety in the picks and bans as well.
And Sino maybe getting a chance to meet a little bit more of his matchup here, having to deal with the likes of Andinsur in that jungle matchup. But I am excited to see, because Sino does have a relatively unique god pool that you never really know what you're going to get from Sino, whether it's
Right.
going to be more the utility team play for his team, or if he's just going to look for those
ESET.
individual standout moments, and that's something that ESET can kind of take either direction with. But Winter Dogs might be a team that he might look to play a little bit more of the conventional stuff.
Right.
But I wouldn't be surprised if ISIS ends up being a ban in these like 4th, 5th.
Sure. If it's still open, Sino, it leaves something up to the imagination there, and we will see how the picks and bans for game number 1 of this all-important semifinal here in North America will spring out. Sturdy Artisans, they find themselves in the first pick slot. Winter Dogs over in that second pick slot. We've talked about this a little bit as the weekend has gone on. Have you seen kind of a distinct meta form between EU and NA? I mean, does anything jump out at you, or have you seen kind of the same god pools on either side? I mean, play style a little bit different, of course, but strictly speaking, god-wise, is there pretty similar carryover from one to the other?
It's just very obvious that there is a clear early game focus from the vast majority of these teams that are leaning more towards that finals bracket section, Dulcin, and
Right.
for good reason. I mean, a lot of the early to mid game tends to control a lot of these match outcomes, so it's no real surprise. I'm definitely anticipating gods, perhaps like Fenrir, to be a little bit more of the isolation or of the preference picks.
Yep.
Mercury could also be one that comes into effect here. I think that both Sino and Annonser have that in their
Agreed.
wheelhouse as well. Kamazats, though, no real surprises. It might be for Relentless One.
Wow.
Might be for Sino in the jungle. Relatively flexible.
We've seen Kamazats have great amounts of success so far here this weekend, where I hadn't seen a lot of Kamazats leading up to it. Mercury, you call it, you get it locked in as well for the Winter Dogs here, presumably out of the jungle. The ability to play make really was forged, I think, by Sanford Soccer at the SPL level. At least recently, he wasn't the one who brought Mercury into the game in general, but as of late, it's been Sanford Soccer finding the most success at the highest level of Smite play. So I think teams starting to pick up on that, able to mirror that a little bit for themselves here as well. Heimdall, a very strong second pick. We're not going to get a chance to see the E set for Sino, though, because the Winter Dogs worried enough about that pick to ban it away. An early Merlin pick as well here for the Sturdy Artisans. So Kamazat's Merlin, Ymir makes his way through. It's a strong first 3.
The Ymir could be interesting because depending on how well Artisans can actually utilize those walls, a lot of cutoff potential to kind of neutralize some of that Mercury aggression out of that semi-global from his ultimate. Could also be extremely annoying for a Heimdall to deal with, because even with that Bifrost, if he gets caught out waiting for the cooldown of his next Bifrost teleport, say he has to go too far away, or even in team fights, could be tough for Heimdall to actually execute with that Niflheim ultimate if he's unable to make it to his target from a nice wall.
Always love watching some Ymir. Changes the face of that lane so heavily. The playmaking ability is just truly something to watch when being played at the highest level. Gilgamesh Chiron will follow up with the final 2 bans here for the Winter Dogs, so needing a hunter. I can't believe Chiron fell that far down. So while we're seeing similar god ideas from EU to NA, a slight shift in priority potentially, as Chiron will fall down to the second wave of bans there. King Arthur left open, though, Taco. We've talked a little bit about the Artisans having their first 3, the Ymir we tend to enjoy. Mercury, Heimdall, Sobek, King Arthur. I don't find anything in that 4 that I dislike.
I was actually waiting to see if Stuart would try to run it back with the Cupid, because it does have some nice AoE additions to that Ymir, so objective play could have been a good look here for the Artisans, but seems as though he would prioritize the survivability of that Jingwei above all else. And while the duo laning phase might be a little bit more quiet, it's the team fight they're really going to have to keep an eye out for, Dulcin, because Artisans definitely have some very nice early, mid, and late game components with this composition.
They do, and then the Naja is the round-out pick here for the Sturdy Artisans team. That's something Sino has enjoyed playing in the past. The Raw Band's somewhat interesting here, sensing that the Winter Dogs still need something there out of the mid lane to provide big burst damage, maybe a little bit of execution. So the Raw gets taken away. That leaves the Morrigan open. The flexibility of this pick alone definitely is something the sturdy Artisans are going to have to be concerned about.
But Morrigan can struggle up against compositions that are good at splitting up the fights, and I think that between the Camazotz having the ability to kind of mark that Morrigan, I wouldn't be surprised if Relentless One's sole purpose this game is just to harass Benny Q throughout the entire match. And with the way that he loves playing early game rotations, with the way that the Artisans have loved putting emphasis into the Soul Lane to establish pressure there early on so that Relentless One is freed and opened up to make those sort of impactful rotations, it's definitely something for Winter Dogs to keep an eye on for.
You talk about the sturdy Artisans, solo lane pressure. Do you think Camazotz, what I'm assuming is going to be the solo laner, has the ability to find some of that pressure on King Arthur?
Potentially, yes. This is one of the more classic matchups for King Arthur. For anybody who remembers when King Arthur first made his debut and was first commanding that solo lane control, Camazotz was one of the first pro solutions and should be a fun one.
Should be a lot of fun here. Sturdy Artisans versus the Winter Dogs. The first game of the day in North America kicks off right now.
Well, thank you, Dave and Taco. Fuzzy here. Joined with me is Blazy. And Blazy, I've got to tell you, when Sino picked the Naja, I had an audible gasp. We know that this man can just carry games with Naja. But I kind of liked what Taco was saying, though, in the fact that Relentless One playing this Camazotz into this old matchup of Aquarius playing this King Arthur. I really like to see that, and the fact that Sturdy Artisans have played more out of the soul lane than anything else could allow Sino just to continue that pressure that he had yesterday.
Absolutely, yeah. Sino is definitely one to watch for this game, but going back, touching on that Relentless One pickup here, we've seen him go back to this Camazotz time and time again, and when he pops with the bat, he pops, and I'm not even sure if the King Arthur is going to be able to stop Relentless One if he gets off to a tear here, Fuzzy.
Yeah, not only does Relentless One pop off, but Pagon has chosen Merlin, and I believe in every game that has been played this weekend, and he has been shown time and time again that he knows how to pilot this god. So surprised to see that the Winter Dogs elect not to go and ban that away, but Sturdy Artisans did elect to ban out Benny Q's Raw because he's had some great plays, as we saw a couple of those weekends. So right now, a little bit of pressure coming out onto Ionic, but Gammon not going to be able to follow up with it because Stur is just there for everything. But yeah, Benny Q was having some fantastic plays. And speaking of fantastic plays, Relentless One looking a little bit weak, but he does have the minion advantage over Aquarius, so it's just going to be a nice little slap fight.
Very, very close there. I actually started sweating on behalf of Relentless One there, thinking, I've just cursed this man. I've just said that when he pops, he pops. Is he going to fall down to a solo kill for first blood? But that is not the case at all. In fact, going to be able to pick up that totem there for his team, just giving the Sturdy Artisans a little bit of this mounting lead that we're starting to see from them over the past minute and a half. It's still really early doors, Fuzzy, but we've got around about a 300, 2,500 gold lead here, which is small, but can definitely build as we go through here. Relentless One in a little bit of trouble again, but he should be fine.
Yeah, it's just the early phases, right, of that solo lane. King Arthur can bully Camazotz a little bit, but again, we see Sino just casually in the enemy side of the jungle, and Andister can't really farm effectively if he can't have a jungle to farm into, so Sino continuing that pressure as that was, again, close for Relentless One. Not quite tanky enough just yet to deal with this King Arthur. But Sino continuing to have this pressure, and now, as I talk about this, Andister is going to dash in and try to see if he can catch Relentless One, but he did have that leap to get away. But again, Sino does just have pressure in the right side of the map, Lazy. It seems like that they just want Relentless One to get ahead as quickly as possible so that he can just focus on getting his target, who I believe, as Taco would point it out, is Benny Q.
For sure, yeah. It's definitely one of the main things that kind of leads up to Sturdy Artisan's win condition with this composition, is making sure that Relentless One feels comfortable, making sure that he can put the screws to Benny whenever he possibly can. Especially considering Benny is going for this pretty, not weird, but obviously Morrigan hasn't played a whole heck of a bunch since the changes that we've seen to the meta with the kind of closing on Conduit Gem and the opening of Sands of Time coming through. Going for this Conduit Gem early is going to mean that Benny is going to have very long cooldowns until he can get those boots online, which I would assume he's going into boots purple.
Oh, Ionic just walls himself into a dangerous area, and Gamma was able to pick up the first blood for the Winter Dogs. And Stewart can't really help out his support when he gets walled off to himself. A little unfortunate placement of the wall. But first blood does fall in favor of the Winter Dogs, which will help them out. in this early portion of the game. And if I am the Winter Dogs, I kind of just want to try to win as early as possible, try to see if I can't get anybody to focus out Stewart, because we saw how potent Jingwei can be in the last set that we had. Stewart's going to get plucked, but it's going to be able to dash away. But looks like Anderster is around the corner, doesn't have that ultimate available just yet, so he just will give a little bit of pressure and back off.
Agility just so strong into this lane. Gamma is going to have a really hard time trying to punish Stewart for being out of position, or even just trying to find those plucks. It's I imagine Stewart will not be the primary target for this Sobek, but Ionic looking to potentially have a flank here.
Well, he tried to send him to Niflheim, and Stewart said, no thank you, as I have my beads, but look who just had to waste his was Wowie. He's now getting flanked from 2 versus 1. Ionic is a little bit upset. This time he places the wall in a little bit of a better position. There's only one where to go, and that's going to be there, but Anderster comes in with a huge sonic boom, and now Ionic again is going to be the target. Wowie's trying to throw out a couple of autos. He will slow Ionic, and Anderster will get frozen, but he will use the beads as Ionic is trying his best to get away. I don't think it'll matter, but he puts up a great wall. Anderster, though, is not going to get it off because he's able to blink away, but Gamma says, no, I also have blink. You are mine, Ionic, as the pluck will secure it, but I think Gamma, too little too late, Tower will clean him up.
Worth it! Honestly, Gamma picks up a kill, no kill for Ionic, does walk away with an assist, and Aquarius might fall down to the right-hand side there, bat out of hell. He's going to secure that one, but the trade will be pretty even over there. Both solo laners getting a kill onto each other, but I mean, hey, if I'm Gamma, I'm thinking to myself, hey, I've just killed the enemy support. He's still level 4. I got a kill. He didn't. He just got an assist. That's totally worth it for the Winter Dogs here. They walk away with a little bit of extra. They put Ionic down a little bit. The only problem I can really see is that Gamma is going to have to spend a little bit more time coming out of base and moving back into the team. But honestly, this early on in the game, Fuzzy, the cooldown timers are so low for respawns that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, at this point in the game, you're not really caring too much if you're a support dying a little bit earlier on. The fact that you have 2 kills over the team that is the #1 seed in the NA, and you have yet to actually pull a solid win out of them, except for, of course, that forfeit in the very beginning. Winter Dogs are definitely happy with some of the trades that are happening, but I don't think they're happy too much about the fact, Blazy, that even though they're up in kills, they are down in some gold, just showing how effective their farming style is, and mostly it seems like it's coming out of the Pagon, as Relentless One still just making sure that he keeps that totem in line. He wants his team to have that mana buff.
Moving over towards the left-hand side. Scratch that. Relentless One in a little bit of trouble here. He should fall down pretty easily. He's to jump away. Might find him safe.
He's got the jump away, but the Sonic Boom did go off as Anderster is still around, and Anderster will be able to finally clean him up. Using some ultimates to expend that. So Anderster now has been proven that he's a little bit of an asset being in the left lane trying to help out get Ionic, and Ionic inevitably falling but not getting the assist. So now he's finally on the board with his first kill, Blazy, over on that right-hand side, which is where the sturdy Artisans have continued to focus their pressure this entire weekend.
It's going to hurt Relentless One for a little bit, but he's pretty sturdy. He's got a lot of options to farm up around here, although Anderster stealing his farm in the right-hand side. Meanwhile, the red buff is going to be secured by the sturdy Artisans. A successful invade here for them is going to upset BenEQ a little bit. Not going to have that primary color available to him. Sino and Ionic, though, still looking for a kill here. Gamma's going to spot him out, so nothing's going to really come of that. But a purple buff invade is going to come through on the left-hand side as well. Both buffs taken away by the sturdy Artisans. And it's cheeky little plays like that, which is how they're maintaining this lead.
Well, wow, he does have those beads available, so Sino making sure that he holds the ultimate, just trying to see if maybe he can bait out the beads and then go and see if he can pull up the kill onto Wowie. But Wowie was a little bit more disciplined with those beads, so wasn't able to get that off. But Sino did make his presence known on the right-hand side, which means Anderster has a little bit more free reign on his right-hand side jungle. Try to see if he can catch up a little bit on farm, as he is starting to rotate down to this blue buff. See if maybe he can catch off Relentless One yet again. Ionic is around, though, just to give him a little bit of help, as Anderster is going to take away at least one of those little heartbeats, but get walled off. The beats have to be expended, but he's going to charge up that Sonic Boom. 4 members of the Winter Dogs are around. Now as Relentless One's going to go and take it up, but a little bit of miscommunication as Aquarius sends Relentless One up, and Anderster's Sonic Boom's right under him. Relentless One is going to be able to get away with half health.
Now Ionic potentially in a little bit of trouble here, but it's just 2 supports slapping each other. Pagon and Sino making the rotation, though. The rest of the red team could be in some danger.
As Gamma's going to be able to blink away, Ionic is going to wind up the ultimate and not get any damage off, but BennyQ has turned into Relentless One, but he gets absolutely eviscerated because Cyno has turned and made sure that he gets the ultimate off. Anister is able to pick up Pagon, but as soon as BennyQ comes crashing back down, he will turn back in, and Ionic will say not today and pick him up. Now Gamma's in the back, Cyno wants to see if he can try to pick him off as Relentless One is onto Aquarius. As Aquarius is a little bit low, and Relentless One will be able to pick him up. Cyno's going to help out and see if he can't catch Anister off. He knows that the beads are down. Will he be able to get the sash off? I don't think so. He's going to try to see if he can get there just in time. One max range sash will do it, just guessed the wrong way. As Anister, he's still on the chase. They still want this Blazy, as the bats will tick off, but I don't think it's going to be enough damage to clean him up.
Absolutely not. Relentless One doing a really good job of staying in the pool from... Basically what happened there, Fuzzy, is Anister couldn't kill Relentless because Relentless was drinking the blood of his fallen ally. Aquarius's little pool there, keeping Relentless One healthy during that exchange with Anister. Going to be unfortunate there that he wasn't able to pick up that kill, but pretty much an even trade all for all. Both these two teams are still hanging on in there. Sturdy Artisans now, though, mounting around about 1,000 gold lead. BennyQ taking a large portion of his HP, but Sonic Boom incoming.
As Pagon gets thrown back in, he's at half health. He's going to flicker away from Gamma. Gamma doesn't have that pluck just yet. He's now running to the safety, but Ionic's going to go ahead and wall him off. Wow, he's going to knock him up, and then, of course, Jingwei has made her appearance known. Stewart has made the rotation over, but Ionic will fall to Wowie because of an auto attack.
And that's all that she wrote. One man falls. Ionic really fulfilling the prophecy of Ymir either feeds and does nothing or feeds and does something. Ionic, though, kind of falling a little bit in the middle here. He has been a part of all 3 kills the Sturdy Artisans have been able to muster, but also about half of Winnerdog's kills as well. So definitely been a high participant in this game. Maybe not in the nicest way that you would like for your Ymir to be, but hey hum. That's just how it is at the moment. These two solo laners are going to continue slapping on each other, Fuzzy, but that's just how it goes.
Yeah, that is how it goes. And it's interesting to see, Blazy, the fact that the Sturdy Artisans have been focused so on the right side of the map this entire weekend, and now they're taking a little bit more pressure just overall on the enemy side of the jungle, as Cyno has been caught yet again trying to steal the red buff, and he's not able to do so just yet, but look who's been caught out as Gamma, as he has to go lurking into the Nile River to see if he can pick up any sort of damage, as now Ionic goes up into his ultimate, and he will explode, as half of his health is gone with it. He will get slowed into the back, though, and now we're trying to see if he can catch off BennyQ, able to get off a little bit more damage. Wow, he does use the Bifrost to get a little bit of pressure, but Stewart's going to be able to get there, but Stewart gets absolutely hit with the Sonic Boom, and on the right-hand side, Relentless One's able to pick up a solo kill, as pings are still coming out. Cyno's going to see if he can catch BennyQ, but BennyQ said, not today, you can take my decoy out of there, as I'm going to try to get my own red buff. But instead, Sturdy Artisans still get it.
Parallel fight kind of emerged there with both the supports getting pretty low and being chased out, but luckily on the left-hand side, the Sturdy Artisans able to get Ionic out with the help of Stewart. BennyQ choosing to ult into Relentless there. A little bit of a curious one, but potentially spots out Relentless is a little bit jumpy of the blink coming out, so just ults for safety. It's better safe than sorry, rather use it than not. But with that, Sturdy Artisans still pushing forward on this lead. The Forp is going to go down in their way as well. Winner Dogs looking, well, here's the problem, Fuzzy. Neither team are really looking in control or out of control at the moment. It's kind of a pretty decent back and forth.
Yeah, it's kind of a toss-up at this point. And going back to BennyQ transforming into Camazotz, I gotta say, if I saw Relentless One in my jungle, and I'm BennyQ and I'm at half health, yeah, I'm turning into him and running away as fast as I possibly can. There's no way that you can catch me dead staring the Camazotz into the eyes, but Sturdy Artisans have effectively taken control of this jungle yet again. As you can see, the pings are coming out. Take a look at the gold, Blazy. We're almost 12 minutes in. Sturdy Artisans are down 2 kills, yet they have almost a 2k gold lead, right around 1,500 in their favor. But with that gold, even though the kills aren't quite there, Winter Dogs have to be able to try to figure out something here, right? And the something has to be, where do they need to focus on? And it seemed to me that everybody's kind of even, except again, Relentless One is a level ahead of Aquarius just because of those early rotations, the fact that he's been a part of all 4 of those kills. So continuing to focus on this right-hand side of the map, Sturdy Artisans were able to pick up that right tier 1, and that's going to start getting Relentless One a free reign to start rotating to these fights.
For sure. More importantly, though, I think I'm going to riff on what Mifflin was talking about earlier, is that XP difference earlier. Hold on a second. Go ahead and pick this up. Fuzzy Cyno in a lot of danger.
Well, the Sonic Boom will not connect, and he's going to try to throw up the ultimate, but he ends up hitting Gamma as he's in the Nile. So now Anderson taking a little bit of poke from Pagon. He'll get pulled back in, but he will not be able to get pulled back in because he's picked up. Now Pagon is trying to see if he can get back into position. His blink comes out from Gamma, trying to get on the Stewart. He's going to go ahead and try to knock him up, and Gamma will be able to pick him up. In the back, Beniq is able to pick up Bionic, but Cyno will clean up Gamma in response. Beniq has transformed into Relentless One as he's going to go into the Camazotz. He will not get pulled in because he beads, and he's going to try to get away from the Bats, but the Bats will claim him again. Relentless One picking up Beniq, and Aquarius now has made his rotation along with his counterpart. But because he's so tanky at this point, Blazy, it's just going to be, again, another slap fight into the jungle as Sturdy Artisans pick up 2 for 2.
Pretty even trade once again. It's just harkening back to exactly what I've been saying for most of this game, is that both of these teams seem pretty evenly matched. And just going back to what I was saying before the start of that fight, Fuzzy, riffing off what Mifflin was saying earlier about the XP difference really being the more important statistic here early on. We saw earlier it was about 4,000 experience in favor of the Sturdy Artisans. Even more, I would wager to bet at the moment. 3 levels difference in the solo, 2 in the jungle, 1 in the mid lane as well, and then even over on the duo side. And it just kind of shows you, well, exactly what we've been highlighting. Sturdy Artisans playing a lot through Relentless One, sitting about 2.5 levels above his counterpart, already picking up that tier 1 tower in right, and Cyno is right there next to him, 3 levels above his counterpart. Mercury really finding it difficult to try and come into this game. So many times we've seen him Sonic Boom just slightly short of where he's wanted or needed to be, and it's gotten him punished quite a few times. Anderster really needs to try and farm up a little bit here, get a couple more items online, potentially look for that first crit item. We see him getting that short sword online at the moment before trying to come back into these fights.
Well, Bionic is now pinging out Aquarius as the ultimate has been expended, so there's not a whole lot where to go. He's going to try to dash away. The beads do come out, as now Relentless One is up in the air, but Winter Dogs have made their rotation. Beniq getting off a massive stun. Aquarius trying to get away, but Relentless One says no, as Bionic's going to go into his ultimate and blow up, trying to get a little bit of damage onto Beniq. Beniq transforming into Relentless One, as he's going to try to run away as fast as he can. He does de-transform into the morgue, into that decoy, and now he's going to get tossed right back up into the air. And when he comes back down, Ice Shards were waiting for him as Pagon's able to pick him up.
Really clever ring toss there from Cyno. Hits the decoy just in case Beniq is still somewhere near enough. And of course, Beniq dukes back towards that decoy, gets spotted out, and Cyno takes him right up into the sky. The tier 2 tower should be forfeit here. And the Winter Dogs are starting to come apart in that fight a little bit one at a time. Aquarius is trying to hold Sturdy Artisans off as much as he can, and then Beniq comes in a lot faster than the rest of his team. Then Andy's there, and the eager conveyor belt just starts happening. Winter Dogs just come in one at a time, thinking, well, if we go in individually, we have more of a chance of getting the pentakill, right? That's how that works. You have 5 chances of getting the kill rather than 1 combined chance. So need to see them potentially tighten that up. It was a little bit of a rushed rotation over to the right-hand side. To be fair to them, Aquarius was in a lot of trouble with 4 people right on his back. At the moment, he's level 14. Not really all too tanky. Did just finish up that Gladiator shield from his last trip to the gray screen. So potentially now he'll be able to stand up to Cyno and Relentless a little bit more, but only time can tell.
Do you really think you could stand up to Relentless One as he just blinks in and half health Beniq, as that was his target, and now Cyno's just going to say, hey, this red buff, yeah, I appreciate it, thank you. As Gamma's going to blink and try to get the pluck off, but Cyno is going to go ahead and beats that away, as now the Sturdy Artisans elect to go for this Gold Fury, and they're going to burn this one pretty fast. And going to be able to get it. Gamma was there just in case maybe he can try to get something out of there, but with Pluck being down, he wasn't able to get into position, as the Sturdy Artisans are now up 6k at the 18-minute mark.
Are we sure that Winter Dogs are the team with Mercury on it? because I'm pretty sure the God of Speed is on Sturdy Artisan's side right now. They are blitzing through absolutely everything in this game, 18 minutes in, and they're able to chunk through that Gold Fury like it was wet paper on the side of the road, blitzing their way through this. Andister potentially caught out here, already used the dash. A super short sonic boom doesn't hit the mark on anyone, but breaking all of their ankles, trying to run around in a circle, is going to get out of there scot-free. Cyno now, no beats available to him.
Yeah, Cyno's a little bit weak in the Made You Look didn't connect, but you know what will is the Nile, as Game was able to pick up the jungler. Benny Q taking a little bit of poke because Relentless One is around, and Andister still kind of floating around after using everything that he can. The blink comes out from Ionic, the freeze not going to be able to connect as Benny Q trying to see if maybe he can catch off the support, but Relentless One is on the Gamma, and Gamma is just kind of there, so he's going to pluck and get a Sunder off. Benny Q trying to do some damage onto Ionic, but the wall will stop him as Benny Q turns into Relentless One yet again. He's going to go ahead and swipe onto the support, and Ionic will be tossed up into the air and come slamming back down, but look who's here. It's going to be Stewart, able to pick up Aquarius. Ionic is going to get thrown back into the clutches of Benny Q, but Pagon is here to slow them down. And now Relentless One's a little bit caught out, but Pagon's trying to take a match with Gamma, and he's able to pick that up. Now Relentless One trying to see if he can catch up to Wowie, but the Bifrost will be able to get him out. And now it's a 3v3. Both tanks down for the Winter Dogs, and only one support down as now Cyno's back up into the position as he's going to try to make a rotation over on this right-hand side.
Just an unfortunate play there. Really erratic team fight starting off the back of Andister. Just kind of being where he shouldn't be at this point. Just go for, I believe, the invade onto the blue buff. Uses his dash back over towards the Fire Giant. Turning the corner as Sturdy Artisans. Somehow Andy's able to get his way out of there after using the short ult, but the rest of the Winter Dogs come in and they do trade 2 for 1. Ionic, the only one falling from the blue team. So we're not too upset about that. 1-5-5 is the big friendly Ice Cube. Only a level down from his counterpart though. Gamma really not too far ahead, despite being 4-3. Been a part of 7 out of these 10 kills from the Winter Dogs, so super in on these fights, and a cheeky little wall there from Ionic to stop Gamma from even touching his little bubble.
Doesn't that just hurt whenever you're playing Sobek and you're running out of Ymir and you're like, yeah, you're alone, I'm gonna get you, and then as you're plucking your animation, he goes, not today, I'm gonna throw up the wall and just build it right in front of your face, and then just gets a little bit of a wave to it too, just like, yeah, you can't do that to me, I get to keep my bubble. As now the Fire Giant will be started up by the Sturdy Artisans, but it is a bait, as Gamma is now lurking into the Nile. And then he's kind of caught out of position, but he's going to blink, try to actually pluck Cyno, and Cyno took half of his health. Now Ionic's bubble is gone because of that tail whip. We're making a little bit of a late rotation. Pagon and Stewart around the back trying to see if maybe they catch Benny Q, actually, who was very low, so that was their target, and now Aquarius is all alone as he's going to get thrown up into the air, and awaiting some damage is going to come crashing back down with Pagon. And Pagon will be able to pick him up as Wowie is now taking a lot of damage, but a good Bifrost will be able to pick him up, get him away. Now Stewart trying to get away and see if he can't get onto Andister. Andister trying again to do a short little sonic boom, but it won't matter. Relentless One is on the rampage now. And this Fire Giant, pretty free for the Sturdy Artisans. Benny Q can be around to contest it, but with no ults available, I wouldn't expect him to come in.
It's hard to start to feel confident in a game where the enemy Merlin is flickering aggressively at you, and you can't do anything to stop it. Pagon popping off in that team fight, picking up the kill onto Aquarius by using that flicker forward. Winter Dogs, absolutely no reply to it. Andister didn't even get the sonic boom off, trying to run away there. It's a rough one for the Winter Dogs here, and now this Phoenix should be pretty much free. I can't imagine Winter Dogs being able to put up too much of a defense here without Andy, and with Aquarius just respawning. It'll be Phoenix number 1 for the blue team. 22 minutes in here, Fuzzy, and it's a slippery slope for the Winter Dogs.
Yeah, the Fire Giant is around the belt of the Sturdy Artisans. They have a pretty big wave in the mid. So I would expect that this tier 2 tower in the mid will be the next target, but instead they're going to go ahead and back off, recognizing that they can go ahead and continue to steal their farm from the Winter Dogs so that they'd have no ability to catch back up. As Andister went on to Cyno, and Relentless One said, not today, and Ionic's going to be able to pick him up, and now Gamma's going to fall to Stewart. Relentless One is still there, standing on pools, just to make sure he can keep the health around. Crit, baby crit, as Relentless One's able to pick up 1 because Stewart was just critting for days. And now Benny Q taking a lot of health, and Pagan is on a rampage. So when 4 of your members are down and all 5 members are available for the Sturdy Artisans, they just want Wowie. That's the last target to get. But I don't think it's necessarily going to matter because the Winter Dogs Titan is under attack. Wowie's going to take some damage. He will try to send Sino off to Niflheim, but it won't matter because Pagan will wrap it up for the Diaz side and wrap up game number 1 for the Sturdy Artisans.
It's just unfortunate. Winter Dogs seemed so competitive in this matchup at Sturdy Artisans at every corner, pretty much just getting a little bit more from that trade, a little bit more from this invade, a little bit of a better exchange in that fight, and it just, those dominoes fell into place. Camazotz and Najjar got so far ahead that the Winter Dogs just ended up not really being able to fight back into it, and, well, the rest is in the books.
Yeah, Winter Dogs just kind of on the wrong foot from the little bit of start of it. Even though they were winning these fights in the very beginning of the stages, they were picking up kills, they were doing what they needed to do. But for some odd reason, Sino just was that little mosquito in their ear, just forming around the jungle, and he kept that lead going. But the desk will be able to break it down for you for game number 1 right after this break.
Born in the city, I was raised on its edges. My pop worked his life when it's complex. I found love in its center. If I could live here forever, think it'd be for the better. I love the weather, even though it's fog 24/7. I love the people. This is the city I met all my best friends, and I wanna thank every brick. I wanna thank every entrance to every building that I step in this city of mine. Oh, you most my best moments in life. See, I fell in love for the first time in Golden Gate Park. I saw my first rap show at Great American Hall. I used to beg my homies for a ride across the bridge to goof off and spend the whole damn day doing whatever we want. Keith drove us down to Ike's place while we'd roll up a blunt, and me and Jack would get stony, walk around and get lost. Don't think I'll ever truly pay back all I was lucky to get just by walking through the city. No, I'm a small part of this.
I never really had a place to call my own, so I travel and I roam till I find that. But I'm full of adventure, so I wander and I venture, and it's safe to say that really I don't mind that. I book a flight to try to figure where my mind's at, a spot where I don't spend no money, just some time at. I mix and mingle with the people till I learn a little. I brought some weed and baby, maybe we could burn a little. She said you're funny, I said no, I'm Xavier, then I left. Sun shining, birds chirping, let me take a breath. I'm headed to the city where my chance to make it best. What people like to give a little, then you take the rest. I'm hoping one day maybe I can find a place to rest. I fell in love with life and wonder where it take me next. I like the hustle and bustle, I fell in love with the fashion. I feel the pulse of the city, it's moving me like a passion, and it's mine.
Hometown, baby, we go way back. All the situations, circumstances, still we don't mind. Steady going on, I dance around the street lights. Hey, I know every street sign, hanging around the block. Like if you are my friend, then you are welcome any moment. Yeah. City of mine, how I love this city of mine. It never gets me down. City of mine, how I love this city of mine. It never gets me down.
Wasn't clean from minute one, but the Sturdy Artisans do not care. They grab a victory here in game number 1, take themselves up to game point here. One more win, and they move on to the North American Finals here in the SCC. Very back and forth, honestly, in the early. I'd even say the Winter Dogs had more of the kill pressure, but the Farm and the Golden EXP kept funneling on over to the Sturdy Artisans. Taco's with me to break down game number 1. And Taco, we wondered how the Camazotz into the King Arthur would look. And I'd argue the King Arthur had more of the pressure there in the early game, but Relentless One was able to kind of calm things down and get himself back in the game.
Yeah, everything was sort of restabilized once the Sturdy Artisans started prioritizing, putting some jungle pressure to respond to a lot of those ganks that we were seeing out of Annister on that Mercury, really trying to utilize that semi-global alongside of Aqua's early lead to try and pull the advantage from the solo lane pressure. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to maintain that side of the map's control, and it ultimately just kind of spiraled out of control from them. And I think a big hero for the Sturdy Artisans in game 1, Dolson, was actually Pagan on this Merlin.
Yep.
He had some seriously impactful rotations early on that helped alleviate a lot of that solo side pressure that was beginning to form.
Absolutely. I mean, Merlin is one of my favorite characters to play, so seeing Merlin get his way back into the competitive meta, always a treat to watch. But when left unchecked, in many ways Pagan was here in game number 1 alongside Relentless One, does not tend to bode well. Actually, the casters, I think, did a pretty good job of mentioning it towards the end of the game. When you are flickering aggressively in the same way that when a Jingwei is airstriking aggressively, things like that, when you're using your only movement to get into the enemy team, that kind of is indicative of the way that the game is going. Been fun to watch Camazotz, though, this weekend. Relentless One, the most recent on a long list of players this weekend that have performed on this pick. Maybe something that's been overlooked for a little while here in Season 8.
And Relentless One has been able to snag up this Camazotz and a lot of the Artisans' recent sets throughout this SCC weekend. And Dolson, it might be time for the Winter Dogs to take note and either ban this Camazotz away, because it's just opening up so much flexibility for the rest of the draft from the Sturdy Artisans, because they could choose to threaten the presence of a jungle Camazotz, and sure, maybe that's not as favorable for Sino, but just the thought of letting Relentless One have this pick that he's clearly having a lot of success with to establish a lot of that solo side response pressure, it's annoying enough that I think it definitely warrants a ban at this point.
Agreed. I mean, if you're going to ban out E-Set from Sino, I mean, there's definitely a long list of picks that are starting to grow for the Sturdy Artisans team where you have to consider banning if you're not going to have an answer to playing against them. And Camazotz, at least in game number 1 here, was the case for the Winter Dogs. Wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for the Sturdy Artisans team. Actually, most of that pressure in the early game was to the Winter Dogs. Was it just not converting those kills into objectives and farm that you saw? Because the gold lead was largely equal despite a 3, 4, or 5 kill difference at times.
No, I think that was purely just Pagan making the rotations when it mattered most. He just prevented the Winter Dogs from really getting an opportunity to try and transform that early solo side pressure into something more useful for those mid to late game aspects. But Sturdy Artisans, they feel very confident in that first pick position. They will strip away that Kakolin and the Tiamat. Makes good sense. We saw what Aquarius was able to do with the King Arthur, though, but perhaps Sturdy Artisans, since they were able to deal with it so well in game number 1, might not feel it as much of a threat.
There were a couple times, actually, where we saw Yamoja fall down to like 10th pick or something like that over in EU. Banned out now back-to-back games in North America to start off the day here on this Sunday. Camazotz does take a back seat after a game 1 performance from the Relentless One. Sun Wukong then opens up the first pick slot here for the Sturdy Artisans, followed up by a Merlin for the Winter Dogs, so that's kind of a pick ban in my mind. Pagan had such a great game in game number 1. We're going to take that away, not by banning it, but by picking it for ourselves, and then giving Wowie a Heimdall. Wowie had a decent game, all things considered, on Heimdall, pretty good damage numbers, so let's get the carries locked down first and foremost for the Winter Dogs.
But choosing to prioritize those Yamoja and Camazotz bans does set the doorway up for the Artisans to open it for an E-Set pick.
Wow.
And E-Set does introduce mostly the objective control, Dolson, but we know that Sino, he likes going blink on this god. He likes being an initiating factor. And E-Set, when combined alongside the likes of Sun Wukong and Sobek, a potential 3 blink process could be unfolding here for the Sturdy Artisans. Just a lot of initiation power with this upper draft.
Great initiation, great dive, great setup so far for the Sturdy Artisans. Mentioned that the Winter Dogs already have their carries locked in, so you're going to be looking for a front line, some engage of their own down these next 2 picks. That's something the Sturdy Artisans will likely be privy to, start to ban away some of those gods. Cupid and Jing Wei both taken away. So interesting thoughts here where Cupid, for some reason, came to mind for the Winter Dogs. Do you think Cupid would have found more value over other hunters given the way the drafts have broken down?
Cupid would have been incredibly annoying for a Serkent and a Heimdallr to deal with, especially if the Winter Dogs could potentially be looking to flex the Serkent into a support position. It's not necessarily guaranteed to be for Anister in the jungle, although Serkent does have a nice matchup into the Eset in the sense that whenever Eset tries to look for those early 1v1 matchups, she'll at least struggle a little bit more there. The team fight, still a bit of an issue just because she does have that heal for the whole team when they're standing in that circle of protections, and Serkent does kind of have to compromise herself in order to actually play aggro into the Eset.
That's a good point. That's maybe some counterplay the Sturdy Artisans will have here over in game number 2. I figured this is what we... Never mind. I figured what we would see was Chiron probably is the answer back, not Chiron and Medusa. So it's going to be Eset out of the jungle, Sobek then in support. One of Chiron or Medusa in the duo lane. Chiron likely makes his way to the mid lane, you would assume, here, with Medusa paired up with the Sobek.
Well, if you like one hunter, why not take 2? Sure. Especially when you have such a clear, objective, focused team composition already. That's just the kind of benefit that Eset brings to any draft, Dolson, is that circle of protections really does make it incredibly difficult to try and fight out against those big objectives. So in my mind, what's really going to come down to is for the Winter Dogs to capitalize on that post-objective fight, if anything. They don't necessarily have to take the objective, but if they can try to mingle in and sort of harass the Artisans carries and look for the collapse after those ultimates, especially that circle of protections has been expended, they could possibly catch Sturdy Artisans off guard here.
Right, force the circle of protection, see if you can find some follow-up damage on the back end of that. Wonder if there's maybe a world where there's not enough magical damage outside of just the Eset, but I'm sure Sino could make it work nonetheless. Sturdy Artisans versus Winter Dogs, game number 2. Fuzzy, it's all yours.
Thank you, Dave and Taco. And Blazy, the last time I saw Sino play Eset jungle, I witnessed murder. And I'm scared for the Winter Dogs because they banned it in game 1. And now that game 2 is kind of rolled around, it's not happening this time. He is able to pick that up, and Chiron will elect to go into the mid. And we're going to see Pagon play mid Chiron, which is something that is kind of interesting to see. We haven't seen him play a hunter in the mid lane before.
Yeah, but to be fair, is Chiron really an ADC or a hunter? I'm pretty sure he's just a mage in hunter's clothing. Chiron does so much ability damage, even in the ADC role at the moment. We see him building into the same kind of transcendence power build start. So it shouldn't be too much of a difference for Pagon here, but I am a little concerned, exactly the same as the analyst desk was, that there might just not be enough magical damage here on the Sturdy Artisans roster. It's going to be all down on Sino, but that being said, Fuzzy, I'm gonna take a quote from Rach here and say that there are 2 kinds of people: those who are aware of Sino Eset jungle, and those who are missing out. And I am unfortunately not one of those people missing out. I wish I could forget.
Yeah, I think most people wish they could forget his Sino has now made sure that, Gamma hasn't been put on a ward, but the left side of the map is saying, hey, he's not here. Make sure that you are aware that the Serkent support is not here. So now getting pings out, but I think they might have forgotten, but Gamma's going to take a Spirit Ball to the face. A Giddy Up will come out. Death Bandits try to see if Gamma can get into the position of Pagon, but not going to be able to do so, as now pings are still coming out. And look at this, the rotation from the left-hand side. Gamma's now caught between a rock and a hard place. He's able to blink and put up a taunt just to make sure that Sino can't get off a Spirit Ball, as it does not connect onto Gamma. And now the supports have made early rotations. Blink comes out from Ionic, misses the pluck, but he's going to be able to back away with the tail between his legs, and nothing really going to come out from this.
Really exciting plays from both of these 2 players here in the support role. Really wonderful idea there from Gamma to try and make the rotation over to the mid lane and try and shut down Sino or Pagon early. Try and set up for an early kill. Because in theory, right, if you can dash through or even avoid the Spirit Ball from Sino, and you can taunt him in. That's an easy kill for Benny and Andy, right? Same thing with Pagon. If you can catch the dash with the taunt, there should be an easy enough pickup, but unfortunately, Sino is able to spot out the rotation and hits him with the Spirit Ball. And speaking of Spirit Balls, Aquarius might be receiving one right soon.
Well, he throws it out and was able to dodge it away. Aquarius making sure that he doesn't get hit with that stun, recognizing that Sino is over here on the left-hand side, will retreat back to the safety of his tower, making sure that he can get a little bit of help clearing those minions, but some pressure over on the left-hand side of the map as Gamma, who is still level 2, trying to see if he can get Stewart out of position, taking a few autos, is going to get taunted, and look at this. Oof. That's going to be Anderster picking up first blood for the Winter Dogs. Again, they were able to get so at what cost was it, Blazy, for them to get a invade off on the left-hand side when they're going to lose both buffs, essentially, because Stewart was able to pick actually, Ionic was able to pick it up, but I don't think Ionic's going to really focus too much when their buff is getting stolen.
I mean, Ionic could be in some danger. Gamma does a fair amount of damage there to him, but absolutely not worth it there, Fuzzy. And there is not a better place to put this first blood kill than onto Anderson on this Pele. Pele, so dangerous, so terrifyingly powerful from ahead. Not quite having the ult available to him is Anderson, still sitting at level 4, but looking to potentially come in for a regank.
Well, he's coming back in. Blink was able to come off from Anderster, but Gamma, he just hit level 3 now, Blazy, so that might have been a little bit of a problem now that he's able to catch up with that leap available. Seems like that might help him out in these rotations now, but I like how they're kind of playing this style, Blazy. The Winter Dogs are going for a more aggressive, let's do a double jungle, and I put that in quotation marks, kind of start for themselves, just to make sure they can keep pressure in their own jungle, because that was their downfall in Game 1.
And pressure is the name of Sino's game right here, right? ESET just brings so much to the table, so much damage, so much clear in that jungle role. And it's a really interesting strategy from Winter Dogs to try and transition Gamma into this more tanky jungler, essentially, rather than an actual support. Pagon, a little bit of trouble, though. The Volcanic Lightning is going to spell a quick end for him.
Relentless One has to go into the Somersault Cloud as well, as Anderster was starting to get a little bit too aggressive onto him, and he's not going to have a whole lot of healing left. Spirit Flail will not be able to secure it, but just quite getting him low enough to maybe he can see if he can go underneath the tower. He's going to blink in, get a tether off, as Relentless One's going to like Ox form out to try to get to the help of his jungler who is in there. And now the blink comes out. He's going to get slowed. Sino's also going to blink. Going to go ahead and throw out the ultimate. Spirit Ball comes out, and Circle Protections gets dropped, and now Relentless One's back at half health. But Aquarius is not. And he's going to get able to slow out Relentless One. Tether comes out as well, just to make it a little bit more. Spirit Ball does not connect. And Aquarius is taking a little low. Wing Gust will be able to pick it up, as Sino is able to pick up the right-hand side. And over on the left-hand side, Gamma's going to try to dash away, as Benny Q is able to pick up Sino on the right-hand side. Ionic's able to pick up Anderster. And now, wow, he's trying to use the Bifrost, but it won't matter, as Stewart's able to pick him up. So, interesting trades coming out on both sides of the map. And Sturdy Artisans picking up a better trade out of the deal.
Okay, so much just happened in both of those engagements, right? On the right-hand side, you have Sino and Relentless trying very hard to take down Aquarius, and they were eventually able to succeed, but a rotation from Benny Q picks up Sino, so a disappointing trade-up. That's going to be a really big kill for Benny Q to pick up early on. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, an invade gone wrong, where Wowie and Gamma, I'm pretty sure, take a spill there. Stewart and Ionic get a kill each, and Pagon's going to take another spill to Anderster, and Relentless is in trouble again.
It's just constant fighting all over the map, it seems, Blazy, but Anderster not able to secure it. Actually, he's able to get make sure that he gets the kill on Pagon, but Aquarius not able to get the kill onto Relentless One. But Pagon, now that he's down, this is the first time that we've seen Winter Dogs really focus onto the mid lane. Pagon had such a great performance in Game 1, and that's why Benny Q said let him not pick up this Merlin, because he was able to do so much damage, and not only that, just so much zoning potential as well that Merlin is able to just bring to the table. So giving him something a little bit maybe less comfortable, he's going to play this Chiron, and now that Chiron has been sat on by Anderster, who now has 3 kills. And Winter Dogs, now that they have the pressure, they're able to make sure that they can keep everything around. As Ionic is getting pinged out, he's going to get taunted in, and Ionic doesn't really have too much to go for, as he's going to get sent off to Niflheim, where 3 members of the Winter Dogs are around for him. He's going to try his best, as Stewart's able to get a big ultimate off, but not enough damage to secure Andister's death, and they're still going to be able to get this purple buff on the left-hand side.
Beautiful rotation there from Sturdy Artisans. Ionic alive for so long, and Gamma gonna get exploded by the Ring of Protection. Sino showing off that ESET power. And yeah, wowee. Winter Dogs are unable to secure their purple buff there, unable to kill Ionic, and lose their support and purple in trade.
And not only that, this Gorp will also fall in their favor, so Sturdy Artisans are now starting to put the pedal to the metal, as Relentless One just making sure that he stays in the game. And not only that, he's actually a level ahead, probably about a half a level ahead of the counterpart, as now Andister is going to try to see if he can maybe look to secure, but Relentless One's able to secure that buff a little bit faster. Again, all eyes are on Pagon in my mind. If Winter Dogs can keep shutting him down, maybe, just maybe, he won't be as impactful as he was in Game 1, as Blink does come out from Gamma, and the taunt will not connect. So, Blazy, now that the question is that even though Andister has been around for a lot of these kills, and he's been very effective in the farm, he just rolled over to level 9, so Sino has about a 3/4 to almost a full level on top of him. Does Andister just keep trying to go for these kills, and does he focus Pagon, or does he try to get a little bit more pressure elsewhere?
I think at this point, Pagon is kind of a mute point, right? If you keep killing Pagon, he's not really gonna get any further behind, right? Yeah, kill him if you get an opportunity. Don't go out of your way to. Potentially, maybe start to transition some of that pressure that you have now over towards Stewart over here on the left-hand side, or even potentially over towards Relentless here on the right-hand side, who is currently 2 levels above Aquarius. He's going to be a little bit harder to kill, but if you can shut him down, you give Aquarius a little bit more breathing room, and you give Sun Wukong a little bit of a harder time staying in tow with everyone.
Well, the Relentless One was making a rotation into mid lane, but not able to hit with the cudgel, and so now Aquarius is meeting him in the jungle. But again, pings are coming out on this left-hand side. Ultimate's going to come out onto Sino to make sure that he doesn't get anything, as now the Circle of Protection gets dropped, and so does Gamma. Sino's able to pick it up with that, but ultimate coming out from Pagon to try to see if he can give out peel for his jungler. Ionic is able to get a good ultimate to slow everybody, and is able to pluck Andister back in, and now Stewart has made the rotation. Sino blinks in aggressively as Stewart's able to fall. No Circle of Protections available for this Gold Fury. All ultimates are down for the Sturdy Artisans, but Benny Q, who can shred objectives with this Merlin, is around the corner, so the Sturdy Artisans elect to not start this Gold Fury.
You know what? We just got, 2-3 kills? I'm more than happy. We can leave the Gold Fury for later. That's absolutely fine, Benny Q. You come and spend some time over here. Benny, the only member of his team ahead at the moment, can get hit with the Spirit Ball. Could be in a lot of trouble, but the turnaround is good. Bye-bye, Sino. Bye-bye, Pagon. But bye-bye, Benny as well. Everyone falls down.
Incredible play from Benny Q there, as now we're going to start seeing that be a little bit more aggressive. Benny Q rolling over to that level 12 mark is now able to get that Aegis online. 3-1-1 for the mid laner over on the Winter Dogs. And now if I'm Winter Dogs, I'm just saying, hey, Merlin's pretty good. Let's keep him going. Let's keep him rolling around. Maybe we could start seeing Benny Q make these rotations into the fights a little bit sooner, and seeing if he can set up the Sturdy Artisans to fall a little bit faster, as now Andister is over on the right-hand side, just making sure that no one is over there. He is going to start that Forp. But we do have to kind of talk about Gamma here, right? He's picking the Circuit support. He's fallen a couple times, but he's kept himself in the game, only being about a level down. But he's set up so much from these fights, and it just seems like that just the Circuit jungle or support alone is able to keep that pressure going, especially if he's able to collapse on the Sino with that ultimate.
He's just got so much mobility with the dash and the leap, and so much gap close as well, because technically you kind of have 3 leaps, right? If you want to class the ultimate there, it gives you a small little jump to whoever's nearby. And the even the 2, the Venomous Bite, it brings people towards you, so it's still closing that gap, and because of it, Gamma is really able to, close the gap. against Sturdy Artisans and make these plays possible for his team. Also really good at forcing these abilities from Pagon, for example, forcing that dash defensively so that Anderster can come around the corner, hit him with the Volcanic Lightning, and basically just get a free 3-course meal from consuming the soul and body of the horse, Pagon. So easy to kill without that dash.
Well, now that dash is down, the beads do come out, and Sino drops the circle of protections to try to help out his mid laner. Gamma is able to throw Sino back and away from everybody else, and WoW is going to use the Bifrost to disengage. And now, Eonic's going to try to blink in aggressively to see if he can catch out Wowie, but Benny Q is going to dissuade any sort of pressure as best he can. Sino trying to get a silence up onto Gamma, but not going to be able to do too much damage to him just yet as the fight. Trying to see if they can set anything up. The Sturdy Artisans are looking for just about anything. In the mid lane, though, Relentless One was making a small rotation, but it looks like it was called off as pings are coming on, as Aquarius is being the one that's pinged out. And right now, Sturdy Artisans, they're a little bit upset that their red buff is invaded, so they're going to try to find any sort of farm in the left-hand side of the jungle, see if they can't get something for their crimes. Eonic is around the corner. They're trying to see if maybe he can catch Benny Q, but he's taking a lot of damage from Wowie. He's going to have to pluck to disengage from this fight. And I think that will finally wrap it up for this push.
They're not looking for farm here, Fuzzy. They're looking for a fight. Sturdy Artisans, really, even with Eonic at lower than half HP, are still looking for this damage. Aquarius blinking in, trying to find the backline.
Well, Stewart's able to throw out his ultimate. Aegis expended as well. Aquarius throws out his ultimate, and Benny Q will pick up one. Anderster will pick up one, and Relentless One picks up Anderster in response. Pagon is all alone now, and Benny Q will pick up his double kill. Eonic, one of the few members left to be able to stop this Gold Fury from falling, doesn't have that ultimate available quite yet, so Gamma's just going to try to dissuade him from getting in. And that Gold Fury will fall in favor of Winter Dogs eventually because Benny Q just has so much shred and so much potential to just burn this objective. As it does now fall, Winter Dogs find themselves for the first time this set ahead. Even though it's only 400 gold and a 900 experience lead, they are ahead now, Blazy.
Yeah, it's tenuous, and the Winter Dogs still have a long way to go to reclaim the pressure advantage here, but the Sturdy Artisans slipped a little bit there. They lost a lot from losing that fight, and, well, I mean, I just want to point out the overwhelming carry so far of the Winter Dogs. Benny Q sat 4 levels above his counterpart, Pagon, really struggling to find farm on the Chiron, thanks in large part to Anderster putting so much pressure onto him. But level 16 at the moment, 5, 1, and 2, a part of 7 out of these 9 kills from Winter Dogs. And, I mean, if we have a look at the damage charts, I'm sure that will show you exactly the amount of impact that Benny has been able to impart. And there it is, number 1 on the charts, just behind Aquarius, who, I mean, he's a soul in Osiris, right? He basically doesn't count. Just exclude him from that list. Alongside Relentless One and Benny, above and beyond by a country mile, really making these damaging plays for the Winter Dogs and setting up for a lot of these kills. And, well, I say setting up, I mean taking them for himself violently.
Yeah, he's been really making sure his presence is known. 3,000 damage is the difference between the top one on each side. If you discount Relentless One, as Anderster going to throw out his ultimate. Sino's going to throw out the Circle of Protections and absolutely delete Anderster's health bar. And quickly before it's gone, they're trying to get away, but Wowie is able to make sure that Sino doesn't keep the pressure going as Anderster is going to dash as fast as he can to the safety of his tower, Gamma, making sure that no one goes through that corridor that the Sturdy Artisans have continued to go through again to see if they can keep any sort of pressure on this left-hand side. Little skirmish coming out for the Sturdy Artisans and a big win for them, although Gamma's going to blink in onto Sino. He's going to get the ult off, and he's going to fall. Benny Q is now on a killing spree, and you want to talk about the hard carry of the game. Benny Q is here, but he has made his presence known, and Relentless One says, not today, as Stewart's able to pick him up with the knockback from the Sung Wukong.
You kidding me? Support for mid laner? For jungler even. Give that to me every day of the week. Gamma, more than happy to fall for that. Sets up a beautiful kill onto Sino, who's currently doing a lot of work for this team. Don't be deceived by his low number on the damage chart. He is making that damage impactfully when he can, rather than doing a whole bunch of it all the time. Meanwhile, Andy is just going to circle around the back of this tier 1 tower while it falls. Winter Dogs able to pick up a fair amount of space control by taking down that mid tower. And now they're in a pretty decent position. Anderster probably going to be just fine here. Relentless shouldn't be able to pick him up. But Winter Dogs are in a really interesting position here, Fuzzy. They have access to the Pyromancer if and when they want it. They have a really big level lead. Sat level 18 now is Benny Q, a level above Relentless and about, 3-4 levels above everybody else on the map. Benny Q can basically do anything to anyone right now and get away scot-free.
Yeah, Benny Q, top in the net worth chart, which means he has a bounty on his head, and Sturdy Artisans want to cash that bounty in. Will they be able to do so? It's kind of hard to do when Gamma has been really just making sure that Benny Q has been safe this entire time. And again, Sturdy Artisans, this is the first time we've kind of seen them be a little bit shaky. Winter Dogs definitely showing that they deserve to be in the top 4 spot, as wards are getting damaged and actually taken down from the Sturdy Artisans, trying to get that ward coverage lead that they usually have. There's now a little bit of a skirmish over the Gold Fury Oracle, something that we don't see very often, as Gamma's going to try to make his presence known. He's going to get caught away from the ambush,
no.
But in the back, I don't think it's going to matter too much when he falls, because Pagon will pick him up. Sino was in the back onto Anderster, trying to see if he can get anything for it. And Sino was able to get a little bit of health bars chunked away. Wowie and Anderster are too low to really do anything. So now it looks like this left-hand side might be the one, as Anderster has to use his ultimate to try to escape the clutches of Relentless One.
Beautiful catch there from Relentless with a Jingu Bang to stop Anderster's back, and forcing the Volcanic Lightning is going to be huge now. Sturdy Artisans should pretty easily be able to pick up this tier 2 tower and left and potentially transition that over to the Gold Fury, especially if they have that wave. Ionic looking to try and keep it alive, but a cheeky little sword ward from Wowie will be able to take it away. It's going to take them a little bit longer, and they might encounter a wild Benny Q in the jungle. Look at that damage onto Sino! Quite enough to pick up a kill, but hot damn!
Yeah, he's got that Rod of Tahuti online, and he is ready to do some damage. And Gamma knows it. Blink comes out, and now Stewart's going to throw out his ultimate to see if he can get anybody petrified, and unfortunately he will not, as Sino's going to get the silence off, but Benny Q doesn't need to necessarily waste the beads just yet, because the Spirit Ball did not connect. Benny Q able to throw out as much damage as he wants to. Relentless One has been caught out of position. He has to use his ultimate to get up into the cloud, and now he's going to try to see if he needs to escape, or maybe look for a re-engage, as Ionic was trying to back, and he's elected to try to re-engage, as Aquarius now is into that Sino, and he's going to jump onto it. Circle Protection's drop, but it won't matter if you have the anti-heal hit. Wowie will pick him up. Now Ionic is in there, and Benny Q yet again will pick up another kill for himself. Relentless One falling. Ionic is trying to get away. The slow will come out, and look who's here is Gamma and Anderster, as they're going to try to come in under tier 2 tower. The poison will not spread just yet. Pagon going up into the ultimate will be able to pick up Anderster in response, but at what cost? His own life. Aquarius picks up the double kill.
A complete flippity flop. Sturdy Artisans able to get around with that tier 2 tower, but all they get in return for it is 4 men dead. They are able to pick up Anderster, but the Winter Dogs should be able to pretty cleanly take the Primal Fury off the board. Which, I mean, hey, if there's any Fury that I don't really mind going down, it's the Primal, although Fire Giant still looming. That first one hasn't quite been taken yet, and with the buff from the Primal Fury, the Winter Dogs are going to have a little bit of an easier time posturing over it and taking it down if Sturdy Artisans take a little bit too long to get there. But honestly, Fuzzy, that whole argument with Primal Fury, a little bit null and void when you have this threat of Circular Protections looming. There is no better secure, no better ability, no better... Well, that's it. Just those two things. Then Circular Protections for out securing objectives. Like, Sino puts that down on the Fire Giant. Winter Dogs want nothing to do with it.
And Winter Dogs want nothing to do with Ionic here by himself. They're going to try to make sure they can get him down, as Sino's around to help out his counterpart in the support role, but he's going to try to run away. The Wing Gust being expended, ultimate from Aquarius being used, and there's Circle Protections, and now he's going to get taunted away. Sino will hit Gamma for the Spirit Ball. He's looking a little bit weak, so he's still going to have to use that Wing Gust to get away. A Staff of Mirrodin looked like it was picked up, so he started that Wing Gust just to get him out. So now that the Circle Protections is gone, this Fire Giant looks a little bit free for the Winter Dogs, but Ionic is still around, just making sure that they don't start it just yet. The big one not going to fall. It looks like the little one will be the target.
That's a really smart pickup there. I'm in love with Sino's build right now. Has the Stoner Binding to make sure that after he hits those CC, he's going to be a little bit more impactful after the Spirit Ball, after the Silence, and it picks up the Staff of Mirrodin just to give himself a little bit more utility. Able to use the Silence twice, the Spirit Ball twice, the Wind Gust twice. Blinking forward is Sino, though, and the fight is raging.
Well, Aquarius now is in the back, and he was able to get a big tether, but it won't matter as Gamma falls, but Stewart falls in response. And now it looks like Anderson's trying to get into their back line, but he got silenced as Pagon picks him up. A fight to the death, and it's not looking good for the Winter Dogs, as Ionic is taking a lot of poke, but Sino's going to drop the circle protections again. Ionic's going to be able to get that Prid win off, but BiddyQ is still on that rampage, doing insane amount of damage. He's trying to juke for his life. Relentless One does pick up Wowie, but will BiddyQ be able to get away? He's going to flicker. He's going to try to throw out as much damage as possible. Wind Gust as he turns into the ice form. It won't matter. Pagon picks up that big bounty. A deicide for the Sturdy Artisans.
Pagon nearly made Sino drop that kill. Charges through BennyQ as the Spirit Ball is about to go off and throws him out of the stun and damage from Sino. Really, really unfortunate miscommunication there. Luckily for Sturdy Artisans, they don't really pay for it. Other than in time, potentially. Without that little mishap, they're able to group up again and go potentially for another objective. But it's fine. They're able to pick up a tier 2 tower, likely the biggest step that they could have gone to anyway without Stewart around. But still, very, very happy for the Sturdy Artisans that they were able to confirm that kill onto BennyQ, finally shut down. Can we have a look at the graph and see just how much money they got from killing BennyQ there? I'm just genuinely curious. Oh my goodness gracious me.
You want to talk about a rock climb? That's exactly what happened. 1,000 gold in favor of Sturdy Artisans, and I'm pretty positive at one point that 2,500 gold lead difference for the Winter Dogs, about half, if not more, was for BennyQ. So that shutdown gold definitely going to help out the Winter Dogs, as now we're starting to see the items flow into the 6th slot for the Sturdy Artisans. Aegon trying to get away from Gamma, as Gamma's going to try to dash and see if maybe he can find Sino, as Sino is the one being pinged. The blink comes out, the bubble has been popped, but it won't matter too much if you're going to get ulted. A cleanse comes out, and the anti-heal from the Lord of the Afterlife will fall, as Gamma will pick him up with his ultimate. Blink comes out for Ionic to try to see if he can get Aquarius. Aquarius not going to be dissuaded just yet, as he's got a lot of damage for himself, as Stewart is at already 3/4 health. Gamma going to taunt in Ionic, and Ionic's going to go ahead and get knocked up, and all that's happening in the back. BennyQ is alone, trying to just help himself and get as much damage as he can onto Relentless One. Relentless One's going to be able to Ox form away, as the right-hand side tier 1 tower falls in favor of Winter Dogs.
Such an upsetting play there for Sino, but Aquarius playing out of his mind at the moment, perfectly setting up for these kills onto the E set, not letting her heal for a moment. Now Relentless One charging back up into the fight again, into the Somersault Cloud he goes, and Aquarius is in the backline.
Aquarius got into the back line, but he's taken a little bit too much health than he wants to, and BennyQ has been thrusted back, but there's nobody to secure for him. But you know who's here to secure is Relentless One, as Anderson comes crashing in and falling very quickly. Ionic is now into his ultimate and came right back out. Pagon trying to see if he can get some damage on the BennyQ. BennyQ looking a little bit weak, but he does have that flicker available in case Ionic tries to go in on him. And we'll be able to get out, it seems, persuading him, throw out a little bit more damage.
Fire Giant is available, and with all 5 members of the Sturdy Artisans up now, including the secret 6th member of the Sturdy Artisans, Circle of Protections, this should be a pretty easy Fire Giant. Winter Dogs still pretty far out of bounds, and still going to come down to how quickly they can get this FG down to about half HP, because that's when that circle will go down, and Sturdy Artisans this should be a doozy here. Everyone's going to be healed up to pretty much full after that Circle of Protections pop. Winter Dogs know it. Winter Dogs know exactly what is about to go down. Don't even bother trying coming into this fight because, well, Circle of Protections.
Circle of Protections is able to clean that up pretty quickly, and Blazy, we've kind of become unnoticed to the minimap. If you take a look, you see that every tower but one is down for the Winter Dogs over on that right-hand side, but the Sturdy Artisans, even though they've been down time and time again throughout this, have been playing a consistent game. No towers in the mid, no towers on the left-hand side for them, so now they have a free path to those 2 Phoenixes if they so choose, while this Primal Fury is going to be started up by Relentless One just to, guide everybody over to that left-hand side, because most people know this, the left-hand side Phoenix is one of the most important when you have the Fire Giant around your waist.
Absolutely, and you know these North American players, Fuzzy, they just want to fight things. So if you try and tell them to go over to a Phoenix, they might think it's boring. So you coerce them over into left-hand side with the promise of violencing the Gold Fury, and that's exactly what they do. They're going to pick that one up for free and actually choose to slink away back into their own jungle, looking to potentially farm up a little bit more. What? Are they okay? Are the hunters okay, Fuzzy? They seem to be shooting into the open void for a second there. Just potentially just waiting for the rest of the team. They don't want to get caught out in the jungle by themselves like we've seen happen to Sino a couple of times. Maybe searching for Gamma in case Gamma is secretly ambushed there, lying in wait?
Well, Gamma was spotted over on the right-hand side. I think they were just waiting on the rest of the squad to roll up as they are jumping for joy as this left-hand side Phoenix is wide open, and they have 2 minion waves able to help them out in this case. Looks like Gamma was able to back in time just to try to see if he can help out anybody. Yana going to place a ward out, but it will be destroyed pretty quickly because no one wants to see where they're going to be at. So as now the teams are gesturing for this fight over on the left-hand side. They're actually freezing the wave pretty smartly, Blazy, waiting for this minion wave to come up so they have a little bit more archers to help them clear this Phoenix. As Aquarius is able to throw out a little bit more damage, Ionic getting off a taunt, and Benny Q throwing some amazing damage, but when Benny Q is getting attacked by Relentless One, he's going to go ahead and go up into the Somersault Cloud, but the left-hand side Phoenix is about to fall.
No.
A few more autos will be able to do it, but it's not going to fall just yet, as there it falls because of Stewart hitting it with some Viper Strikes.
He is zoned away now. That Ice Rain, very dangerous path for Stuart to try and cross. Luckily, Winnerdog's not really able to capitalize off it, thanks to the presence from Pagon there. And with one Phoenix under their belt, and still a decent amount of time. We've got about maybe 30 or so seconds left on this Fire Giant buff. So the Winnerdogs should have a pretty decent chance of defending this Phoenix here if they can delay Sturdy Artisans just a little bit. And Anderster waiting in the wings on the right-hand side.
He's waiting for the time that the go button is pressed, and the go button has been pressed. That's going to be Frenzy coming in. Aquarius is going to jump on in and get the Petrify out of Stewart. But who won't matter as Sino is able to pick up Anderster on the right side of that jungle. Now he's trying to see if he can get himself into position as Ionic is now having to lurk into the water. Sino is taking the Phoenix shot. He's able to get a double silence, trying to see if he can get Aquarius. A Spirit Ball will be able to finish it off, but it does not connect. But it won't matter. The main target, the middle Phoenix, is what they get. And they're going to head right back over to the right-hand side of the map. Fire Giant, as you mentioned, is about to wear off of them, so maybe get this tier 2, and then maybe look to see if they can catch anybody else out of position. But Anderster being down for 30 seconds, they could look to end if the Winnerdogs get a little too aggressive.
Where did Andy go? He got hit by the Spirit Ball and just evaporated. He turned into a little smush of ash and dust on the side of the street. My guy, poor Andy, tries to make the rotationary play, but Sino spots him out, and he's a dangerous cookie to try and deal with. That Spirit Ball doing so much damage. Down goes the Pyromancer already, and now the Sturdy Artisans taking that as a call to back. Buy up everything that they needed, go over to the Fire Giant, and potentially look for this final push of the game. Circle Protections is available to them, and with a, 6,000 gold lead, they're in a pretty good spot to do so.
Yeah, gold lead's starting to become a little bit irrelevant as now everybody seems to be getting into that 6-slotted item. But everybody on the side of Sturdy Artisans have that gold available, so they have wards and wards to spare to set up for vision around this right-hand side. This will be enhanced Fire Giant. So Sturdy Artisans recognizing that, they're going to try to set that up as fast as they possibly can, and Winnerdogs trying to push in as many waves in the left side as possible so that Phoenix can respawn, or at least the minions won't come crashing in like what happened earlier this season. Is Gamma trying to see if he can get into any sort of position, but Ionic's going to pick him up, and a pluck and a silence going to come out. Gamma has to dash away, but I don't think you can dash into that direction as half of your health is now gone. When the support health is gone like that, it's going to be hard for any real engagement to come in, but we have seen Aquarius make some good plays in the back, diving in with that Lord of the Afterlife. Trying to see if he can maybe set something up again, but when you don't have your support to help peel in the back line or jump in with you, it's a little bit more difficult, as that Fire Giant now has spawned.
It's going to be a lot harder for Aquarius to try and make these plays onto Sino anymore now that he has that Magi's Cloak available to him. Even if he does hit with the Lord of the Afterlife, not going to matter. Wowie already in a lot of trouble. Sino pops the Circle Protection, but Wowie's not going to get hit.
as Gamma is now going to use his ultimate onto Pagon. Pagon taking a little bit of damage, but Pagon will actually pick up Gamma as Anderster come crashing in and did some damage onto Stewart, but Stewart able to stay alive. The Aussie procs helping him out, and now Benny Q, the master behind, is going to fall pretty quickly to Relentless One, as Sino was able to pick up a kill for himself. Wowie now is going to be tossed away from the Bifrost, but he'll come crashing back into 3 members, as Stewart is there. Pagon's able to pick him up, a deicide for the Sturdy Artisans, and from all the way down from not being able to play on the first day in the loser's bracket, will come crawling back up and able to take on the Herculean Hooves later on today.
What a beautiful masterclass in weird and wonderful jungle pickups. This special pick from Sino is able to carry Sturdy Artisans through whatever may ail them. 6-6 and I believe 17 at the end of that slash line for Sino there. Just a part of so much on the map, able to set up so many times for everyone on his team. And, well, the Sturdy Artisans deserve to be here, Fuzzy. They may have been put down into the losers bracket, as you said. They weren't able to play that first game, forced to forfeit, but they're definitely showcasing why they should be in that finals.
They are the #1 seed. And after times and tribulations, they're able to come back from the losers bracket and take it to the finals. We'll be right back with you at the desk after this break.
Unfortunate start to the weekend for the Sturdy Artisans, but at the end of the day, the #1 North American SCC team punches their ticket onto the grand finals. The Sturdy Artisans, they come out swinging here in this one. They came to play, and they take the 2-0, and we'll move on to face the Herculean Hooves in the grand finals. But Taco's with me one last time to break down this set. And Taco, this was another one where it feels like there's going to be some pushback from the Winter Dogs, but the Sturdy Artisans able to keep their feet underneath them and grab the win.
Benny was certainly putting in work there for the Winter Dogs on that Merlin mid, and it makes perfect sense why we saw him choose to take that pick away from the likes of Pagan. It's almost as if we were just watching a mirror matchup of whoever happened to get the Merlin was just going to get a pop-off team presence with it, but unfortunately, despite all the player damage he was able to put out, things just kind of collapse around those Fire Giant objective plays for the Winter Dogs. They just weren't really able to close out on a lot of kills that would have made it a much easier circumstance for them to actually look towards pulling that objective. Most notably, though, was Sino working alongside of Relentless One and Pagan to really make this ESET pick just as devastating as we've seen it be throughout this entire SCC playoffs.
Right, 1.83 KDA, nothing out of this world, but Sino had a hand in a lot of the kills that the Sturdy Artisans were able to put together here this game. And we wondered how not only Sino would do being really the only serious source of magical damage, but how this double Hunter composition would look in a team where physical power is a little bit more dominant. Pagan stood up to the task. It was 2.4 KDA, 27,000 damage, and the Sturdy Artisan shows some flexibility, Taco, in the ability to draft something a little bit more standard and you know, mage, hunter, jungler, all that sort of stuff. Or you can get a little creative, throw a mage in the jungle. Double hunter could work for them as well.
And double hunter is vicious because at the end of the day, Dulcin, it always trickles down to the same thing, and that's Smite is an objective-based game. And if you're unable to either close out on the fights or close out on those big team fighting objectives, either way, it's going to make it very difficult to actually maintain that healthy status of your base. And sure enough, Winter Dogs, despite coming out strong in both games 1 and 2, as long as they ended up slipping towards those team fighting objectives, that's really something for them to look towards improving on should they stay together moving forward.
Gotta feel a little bad, I think, for Benny Q after that game. He did 40,000 damage on the Merlin, but can't convert that into a win. The rest of the team kind of crumbled around him. On to the grand finals we go, and we'll get a look back at the North American SCC playoffs here this weekend. All 2-0s up to this point. Still could be a 3-0 if the Herculean Hooves are able to take it. Just a reminder, if you're just tuning in, you get a 1-game advantage in the grand finals if you are the team that made it there from the winner side of this matchup. And it is a best of 5 as well. So the Herculean Hooves just need to win 2. Sturdy Artisans have to win 3. Herculean Hooves, this is the number 3 seed coming out of North America, have really started to play well. Sturdy Artisans, the number 1 seed out of North America, fell down to the losers bracket side after an unfortunate event earlier on in the weekend. Do you think it could be a close matchup?
This could definitely be a really close matchup. I would even argue that as far as the NASCC is concerned, those top 3 teams, it really just depends on who comes out on top or who comes out to play best over the given weekend. And I think right now we are definitely seeing Sturdy Artisans kind of understanding that they still have an uphill battle to climb here, Dulcin. A lot of respect, I'm sure, is going to be given between this set, though. A lot of these players very familiar with each other and their play styles especially, which could make it difficult for either to really have an edge outside of the obvious one of the 1-game advantage.
Yeah, I think any given Sunday is the saying, and any given Sunday we've got right here Sturdy Artisans versus Herculean Hooves, the North American SCC Finals, coming up next.